Here's the million-dollar question. How do men like us reach our full potential and grow into the men we dream of being while taking care of our responsibilities, working, being good husbands, fathers, and still take care of ourselves? That's the question, and this podcast will help you with those answers. My name is Brent, and welcome to the Fallible Man Podcast. Welcome to the Fallible Man Podcast, your home for all things man, husband, and father. And on today's show, we're talking about the need to compete with yourself to grow. I'm thrilled to welcome my friend and regular collaborator, Dave, Common Man OCR McCarter, for this conversation. Dave, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Come on, brother. Missed you.
It's good to see you. Welcome home.
Thank you.
Dave just got back from a major trip.
2 Spartan races at a Deca Strong event in Phoenix, Arizona, which I decided to drive to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never driven that far in my entire life. And wow, I have mass respect for people who've driven across country because dang, that was a long way.
I've driven across the country more times than I want to remember, actually.
I'm going to fly for now, just fly forever, just rent a car and call it good.
You've said that before.
Yeah,
after trips.
And then I still drive.
But Dave, I appreciate you. Dave, in his absolute kindness, agreed to do this show like 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago.
Yeah, what is it with you and guests? And you're like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and schedule you for my podcast. And then he calls me up. I need you here in like 2 hours.
That's the cost of being a guest as a friend, as opposed to just random people I get for the show.
Well, there's that. But
now, you guys are familiar with Dave and his work at Common Man OCR. Links will be in the description as always. Dave is an IT worker like myself. He's actually my mentor IT, got me started in the IT field. And we kind of feed off each other and trying to pursue our health goals. Both of us are trying to reclaim our health in our own ways. Dave's gotten seriously involved in Spartan. If you're watching the video, you can see all the swag, and yeah, he's gotten seriously deeper into. That was really loud.
Sorry.
He's gotten seriously deeper into the OCR world than I even did, and we both love the gym, and we both believe that you need to compete with yourself. Now, when I pinged you about this, you were like all in on the conversation.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So we'll start and get into this, guys. Now, in the last 10 years, it seems the society, we've started discouraging competition in any way that seems quote unquote aggressive. And if you're listening, guys, I'm using the air quotes because I really hate this crap. Why do you think that is?
It's almost like the demasculization. I'm not sure if it's a real word. The demasculization of men. We should be in touch with our feminine side. We should be less aggressive and more touchy-feely and more feelings-based rather than aggressive-based. More, I guess is the best way I can put it. And it's kind of sad because, that's kind of how it's how we met and bonded and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling matches and so forth. But, it's not. Yeah, I think it's more likely because, they want men to be shadows of themselves, demasculated.
It's funny, right? Because we celebrate competition at the highest levels. I mean, so right now, it's the beginning of March.
Yep. March
and
Madness. So
we're not far past Super Bowl.
That's true.
Right? We're not very far past that. It's March Madness.
Yep. If
you're into those sports. The Olympics, are they still going? Or are they they're wrapped up? So the Olympics just wrapped up. And right now the Arnold Sports Festival kicked off today.
Oh yeah.
And
you pinged me about that. I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah. The second, so not everybody understands this about the Arnold Sports Festival. It's actually the largest sports festival in the world.
So what's done at the Arnold?
Well, that's the thing. There's over 200 sports competed during the Arnold. The Judo World Championships happen at the Arnold.
So it's a comp. Okay.
Interesting. The Fencing World Championships are national championships. One of the two. You'll have to fact check me on that, guys. Happened during the Arnold.
So it's not just a lifting competition.
No. So it's one of the premier events for bodybuilding. And all variations of strength sports, bodybuilding, physique, men's and women's.
Wow.
It's the second largest event, I think, for CrossFit in the United States.
Besides CrossFit Games.
Besides the actual CrossFit Games, the CrossFit competition at the Arnold is, I think, the second largest CrossFit venue. I'm not a CrossFitter, guys. You'd have to correct me on that, but I think that's correct.
So what I hear you saying, we're missing OCR in the Arnold.
Spartan runs an event during the Arnold.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they started a year or two ago.
Wow.
And so there's actually,
good job, Joe.
yeah, Joe's running Spartan events during the Arnold, or at least they have in previous years. I don't know about this year.
Or somebody's running, not probably not Joe. But.
In the world of strongman, which is one of my favorite sports to watch, there's smaller events and then there's 3 or 4 really large, and it's World's Strongest Man and the Arnold Strongman are like the two. There are Arnold Strongman competitions as they move because they have like the Arnold Sports Festival Australia and Europe both. It's international.
So some options then.
But then they have like, Europe's Strongest Man, United States Strongest Man, Canada's Strongest Man, blah, blah, blah. But like the Arnold and the World's Strongest Man are like the 2 big strongman events, right? And there are a bunch of other smaller events, and I don't know them all. I think there's some big boxing and stuff that goes on.
So but what he says we need to go there one of these years.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a massive event. I was enjoying watching the opening 2 events for the strongman competition they did. For the first time that any of the strongmen competing knew of or could think of, they actually had squat for max weight.
Wow.
They've had squat for reps before at a strongman event.
But not for max weight.
But none of them who are competing have ever been in an event where they actually had it for max weight.
It's so cool to watch the barge do this.
Oh, shout out to Canada. Your boy is representing hard, dude.
It's the maple. It's got to be the maple syrup.
He's there. It's JR, I think.
I didn't watch it.
It's just the dude's been a big competitor for a long time, but the dude is an animal.
What did he get for?
He hit 966 like it was 135.
Holy cats!
To win the first event.
He just did 1 rep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that was his opening was over 900 pounds. The way they run it's just like the elephant bar deadlift, and it's once they put weight on the bar, they get 3 attempts. Once they put weight on the bar, it doesn't come out, so it doesn't necessarily go like everybody gets their first attempt, then their second attempt. If your second attempt comes before the weight for someone's first attempt, then you do 2 before. So like Martin Lises and man, I just went blank on his name. I know him too. I've watched him for years. But the Canadian champion both opened at over 900 pounds.
Wow.
On their squat.
Well, props to you, Canada.
Yeah, so well done. You guys are doing something awesome. He's an animal. Be proud.
Gotta be the maple syrup.
But like it wasn't even a struggle, dude. Wow. Like 966, he hit it like I would hit 135. It was like in place. They had a mono lift. They swung the hooks out of the way. Yeah. He was like, bam, up, down, done. If you blinked, you missed it. It was like, dang. Some of the guys who do commentary are like, OGs of strongman. Right. Magnus was like,
well, Magnus for Magnuson is like that, then there's something up.
Hafthor Bjornsson was there watching. He wasn't competing.
Yeah.
But he was like, dude. So
here I am at my 400 pounds, almost 400 pounds going, goals. And I know you squat more than I do, so it's like goals.
But we glorify athletes who compete at the highest level, but outside of that organized competition, we tend to like minimize any kind of competitive nature in men that isn't in some kind of specialized organized sport. Right? They've taken dodge bar out because it's too aggressive in schools. They discourage tap.
Wait. Say that again. What?
Oh, most schools don't do dodgeball anymore. It's too aggressive.
Yeah, that's the what?
Most schools don't allow you to play tag anymore. It's too aggressive.
Yeah. What about touch football? Maybe.
I don't know about your touch football. Mine always ended up in touching the ground football.
Well, yeah, that's part of what. Like it wasn't. It was touch, but it turned into tackle. But
I'm 42. I'm 42. So
you're older than 40. But
touch football in our school translated to, hey, I touched him as he went down.
Yeah, I pushed him to the ground, but hey, I touched him. So,
I might have taken him down as I touched him, but I did in fact touch him.
My hands were on his back as I tackled him.
It's the way we played flag football too.
Oh yeah. You rip the flags off, then you knock him on the ground.
Hey, I got the flag.
Yeah, he's on the ground.
After he hit the ground.
He's on the ground bleeding, but whatever. But
more than once, I just slammed somebody and then bent down and yanked the flag out of their belt. But hey, guys, rough and tumble. We do. So, do you think that men are too competitive sometimes?
Pardon me. We can be. We can be competitive with each other. We can be competitive against ourselves. Too much sometimes to where it's a detriment. So
there is a line.
There can be a line. There is a line. We tend to cross it sometimes. I know, like when I was a kid, my friend Chris and I, and Pipkin, if you're watching this, shout out to you, buddy. We would get into these wrestling matches that were just knockdown, drag out fights by the end of it. He'd always win. He was always smaller than me, but he was stronger than me. And I would get so hacked off because the dude was pinning me. And I would get back, come on, go again, let's go. And it didn't matter. The dude would beat me every time, except for maybe once. And I would try to cross that line of trying to be too competitive to where, I'm just hurting myself at this point. Chris would just sit there and go, you want to go again? Oh, man, I'm fine. 20 times is enough. I'm good.
I think there might be, I don't know. I think there might be a little unhealthy competition. I mean, we all know that guy that, right? It's like fish stories.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a crappy fisherman, but, it's like fish stories, right? The
it was actually this long. It was this.
I caught a fish this big. And every time you tell it, right, it's bigger.
The fish was this long and this big around. And it was actually that long and that big around, but whatever.
I mean, that's why I guess there's so many just meme-worthy jokes about measuring competitions between guys.
Yeah, just
right. I mean, it's that there is an extent of unhealthy competition, sure. Right?
But it's that way with guys and gals. We all compete with each other. Maybe not so much pronouncing girls, but
no, it's different too. So sure. You and I both worked with teens for umpteen years.
Sure.
And I always get a kick out of people who still have these illusions that girls are cleaner and nicer and less competitive. No. Man, it's just really different.
It's different, but I tell you what, I know plenty of girls. And the teenagers, girls that have been in our youth group before, a shout out to you guys, because some of y'all could whoop the tail on some of these guys. I'm telling you. Some of the competitions I've seen, girls step up and go, no, we're going to compete with you and we're going to obliterate you. And they just obliterate them. So girls are definitely competitive. They are definitely as competitive or more so than men are. But yes, it is different. It can be a lot different.
It seems to be very different issues that they get competitive on.
It is funny to watch a girl tackle a boy in football, though, because that is epic. It's like, dude, she took you down. Ha ha.
It is absolutely rewarding to see a young woman just put a guy in his place.
Especially sometimes. When the guy's a snot. Like, I'm all that in a bag of chips. And you're like, ha, not anymore. So
I've had the pleasure of training with some women who are just like, man, you are awesome. Just, I'm just like, bow down. Like, I was watching this girl do, cleans. She was doing power cleans in the gym. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was obvious that she had been trained some in Olympic style lifting. But I mean, it was, I was having problems because I was trying not to stare, right? And I'm not trying to creep out on her. She was an attractive woman, but like her form on the clean was so perfect. Yep. Like, I was like seriously just envious because, I've never trained officially on Olympic lifts and I can do a clean. It's not pretty, guys. It's really not.
Oh, you think that's bad? Try watching me do it.
But I mean, it was like art. She was so on point with her power cleans. It was like, I asked her, I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to like creep on you. Have you actually trained Olympic lifting? She's like, oh yeah, I'm on my college team. She said, why? Why do you ask? I said, your clean is so on point. It's so perfect. She's like, wow, thank you.
There's been a couple ladies in my gym. Shout outs to Kelly and to Brittany, both. I've actually had to tell them, I'm sorry for staring. I don't mean to stare, but that lift was so perfect, I couldn't help myself. And could you show me how to do that? And they're like, well, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's really not, I know those guys and they piss me off at the gym that sit there and like,
look, I'll show you how to do it. I am Arnold Jr. No.
You got those guys, and then you got the guys who are just like creeping on girls who are wearing skimpier outfits or whatever, or attractive, and it's just like, no. And then I find myself staring at some girl, and it's like, it got nothing to do with the fact of how she looks. Half the time my wife is sitting there with me because Sarah trains with me a lot. But I'm just sitting there looking like we have this young woman at our gym who she moves weight.
Wow.
She is maybe 5 foot, petite little thing, but sister lifts.
Sweet.
It's all clean and perfect form, and it's like, man, you are a badass.
Can I be like you when I grow up?
But women definitely get competitive. I will admit. So you guys are hearing this. We're admitting men can get over competitive.
Yes.
Okay. We absolutely can. There are things that we know everything that's not have to be a competition. Now that acknowledged, life is a whole lot more fun when it is a competition sometimes.
Well, we need the competitive spirit too.
I think so. So I was reading a 2010 study earlier today, right? And the study was done that revealed men were twice as likely to take a job that was largely based on individual performance as women, whereas women were more likely to take a team-based performance kind of job as a whole, where it's, pay rates and stuff are rewarded on a team basis and how the team performs as opposed to where men are twice as likely to go into something like sales, right, where it's all on you. What do you think of that?
Sometimes I think we tend to be so over competitive that the team dynamic is a little bit lost on us. Mm-hmm. It's hard for us to work with a team because we're so, and of course we're speaking from, the postmodern American, experience. But I think that sometimes we're so used to taking it on ourselves. We're so used to being in competition with others that, well, I got to do this on myself. I have to do this all by myself. And I can't accept help from anybody else. Whereas the ladies more like, yeah, I'll take your help. Sure. Great. Let's go. We do fit into teams. I mean, you and I work together on multiple projects a year. Yeah. But there are those times where it's like, we got to stop each other and go, dude, do you need help? Let me help you now. And girls, ladies, women in my experience, don't tend to have that dynamic so much. They tend to ask for the help, ask for the assistance before we ever do. That's been my experience.
I think a lot of men feel, I think a lot of men feel like it's almost a sign of weakness. We've been told we have to do it on our own.
Yeah,
men are very performance based. I saw a meme a while back that said only children and puppies are loved for who they are. Everybody else is loved by what they achieve.
Yeah, well, that's probably true.
And then I saw another variation that said only women, children, and puppies are loved for just existing and being themselves.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Men are largely judged in society and have been forever. I heard someone arguing masculinity. I actually heard an incredible argument on the definition of manhood and masculinity between trans men and a group of conservative males the other day. It was a really interesting, 40-minute event. And it was actually very respectfully done. I was actually,
that's good.
I was like, bravo on the facilitator. That was well done. No one died. It was good, No
one jumped over the banister.
But they were talking about the idea of male privilege. And one of the conservative men pointed out, yes, there are some things that by nature, like we are safe, we are less likely to be targeted because we are male.
True.
But there also comes a lot of drawbacks with being a man. Like more is expected of us. All of our value is based on performance based. What we provide, what we can provide, what we can achieve,
what we can do,
right,
etc.
And actually, they all agreed upon that, which was impressive because a lot of the trans men said, yeah, that's something that we have learned as we've, transitioned to men, is, yeah, there's a lot of our value that is now solely based on what we can do and achieve. And, so guys, this is going in place. All right. It sounds like we're bagging on the whole idea of competitiveness, but it's really not. It's taking us to a place, I promise.
We're definitely competitive. Let me tell you that.
I know personally growing up, I actually preferred individual sports as opposed to team sports.
I wasn't allowed to play sports when I was a kid. We were too po.
So, I was very blessed to be able to play quite a few sports growing up.
That's cool.
And I played soccer and softball. My junior high didn't let us play baseball because we might get hurt. Because no one ever got hurt getting hit with a softball bat.
Oh,
right.
Gosh, no. I did wrestle 1 year when I was in 6th grade. I got to wrestle. I lost both my matches. And Brad Hawkins, if you listen to this, buddy, Brad Hawkins, buddy of mine from high school, now like a state representative here in Washington, a great guy. But I remember looking at him in the wrestling mat, looking at him, and suddenly I was looking at the back of his shoe. Like he just, boom. And then he was pinned me and done. I'm like, I suck at wrestling.
So, yeah, I played flag football in junior high before we could play tackle.
Oh, wow.
I played soccer. I played softball. I wrestled.
Cool.
And I was on swim and dive team.
Yeah, I knew
in
about
high
that.
school. But I actually found I preferred individual sports. I didn't like team sports as much. Largely, it was due to my competitive nature.
Yeah.
Right? I'd rather bet everything on me and ride that train than take a loss because one of my teammates is having a rough game.
Right.
Is that a nice way to say that? One of my teammates sucked. So
one of my teammates lost the game.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I'd rather from a very young age, I would rather roll the dice and own it on myself because I could take the fact that I failed and deal with that as opposed to I lost because somebody else screwed up.
Sure.
So I was very much into that. So I think that's transitioned into my life as an adult. I tend to go a lot of things alone because I'd rather lean on me than, and that is a weak point on myself, guys. I will admit I actually need to, that's one of the things I'm working on growing in is having better, more constructive relationships with other men and having that community kind of team support as opposed to leaning entirely on myself.
So you took the song, lean on me. You got a little personally, didn't you?
I did.
Lean on Brent.
So let me ask you, do you feel compelled to compete with other men?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, goodness, yeah. I compete with you all the time. I mean, and it's funny because when we've raced together, when we started racing together, it was I'm not, and we've had this talk before, so we're gonna open up the hurt locker.
Oh no, we're gonna get all emotional.
I was
tissue warning, guys. Tissue warning.
Okay, no, our first race together was Tough Mudder Whistler 2016. We're in Whistler, British Columbia, and I mean we're talking it's up a mountain.
Whistler Olympic Park.
Oh, that was a party, and then I'm an idiot and went back there a few years later for Spartan. But I was, in my mind, I was competing against you the whole time because you could have walked through that course way faster than I did. And here I am, much fatter, slower, not in anywhere shape of any kind. And I'm like, I've got to catch up to him. I've got to catch up to him. What the heck am I doing? I've got to get up there. And it get to a point where I think he turned to me like, dude, we'll just do what you can. Don't worry about it. And we got to that one point where it was right before Everest. And I look at that half mile up the side of the mountain.
Oh, the Olympic ski jump.
That false summited 6 times, and that was the point I got to was the American Tough Mudder where it was 10 miles, and I'm like, I'll see you guys at the finish line. I'm out of here. You gave me a hug, said, dude, I'm proud of you. You did the best you could, and that's where I knew I wasn't in competition with anymore. That whole race, I'm just like, I've got to get to Brent. What the heck? And I was so mad at myself because I just couldn't do it. And what you've been doing it for what, a year or two longer than I had at that point?
2 races.
Oh, 2 races longer. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're also better shape than I was at that point.
I did 1 Tough Mudder and 1 Spartan before that. I did my first Spartan, my first Tough Mudder before you did that.
Gotcha. But you were already well versed to doing this stuff before I was. But even then, I mean, you look at the guys in the gym sometimes and you'll see You'll either see a guy looking at another dude going, dude, I need to lift like that. Or you'll see like a group of guys, usually a group of younger guys that are, come on, man, put some weight on that bar. Hey, man, is that all you're going to lift? And they'll actually lift to a point where it's unsafe, which is scary as heck. But you'll see that happen a lot. Me, when I lift with folks, I'm just like, yeah, I'll do what I can.
Let me back that train up, though.
Go for it.
Was that negative competition, though?
No.
Was competing with me on that helping you stay forward?
Yeah.
Or was it negative?
Well, if it was negative, it would have been something like, Dave, you suck, you're fat, you're stupid, slow down and stop. Or go back to the car and wait for us. That would have been negative. It was more like, and you were positive, encouraging, and I don't know if I've told you that before, but you were a positive, encouraging force the entire way. In fact, I wouldn't have the medals on my wall if I didn't know you. And I wouldn't have stuck with all this OCR stuff if I didn't know you. But it's like, you
bad influence.
It's all his fault. Every time I do a race, I just call him up and say, this is all your fault, Dylan. But it was completely positive. Now I've had competitions with other men on the other side of the coin where you suck, you need to stop, you're a detriment, go back to the bench and sit down and be quiet. Yeah, it didn't happen with you guys. You were encouraging the whole step of the way. You remember we got out of the quagmire and it was a really thick mud and I lost a shoe and the shoe just stayed there and I fell to the ground and sat down and you and Zeke came over and pulled my shoe out of the mud and I couldn't bend to put my shoe on. You guys put my shoe on for me and I'm like, thank you. I love you guys.
It was a rough day, man.
It was a very rough day.
It was unseasonably cold. They were taking people off that course left and right in solar blankets for people getting hypothermia.
Wasn't as bad as the Spartan Super Seattle 2018 though.
No, not
that was horrible.
But I mean, there was nothing wrong with the point where you went off. It was your first event. We were already 10 miles into an event that was all either uphill or downhill. And B, like there were a lot of people walking off the course because 10 miles into the event, they marched us up the side of the Olympic ski jump.
How many times?
All the way to the top of the mountain.
Like 4 times?
Yeah, I false summited like 4 times. It was horrible. Like people were just walking off in droves because it was so bad.
Oh yeah.
In fact, the next year they changed it on the course and you came down the side of it instead of going up it, which I'm not sure I'd want to do that anymore.
That would still suck.
But yeah, I think there is a line where there is healthy competition between men.
Yes.
That encourages them. I know like one of the oldest adages when it comes to like lifting weights, whether you do powerlifting or bodybuilding, it doesn't matter what it's just lifting weights.
The no ego lift?
Yeah, no, that's my rules for sure.
Mine too.
No, one of the oldest adages is if you're the strongest guy in the gym, you're screwed.
Well, yeah.
Because lifting around people who lift heavier than you drives you to work harder.
Is that like in the IT world where they say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room?
Yeah, exactly. Now, guys, we're getting into this, and hey, if you're watching the video, what do you think of my new flag here in the background, the Fallible Man flag? People say you got to plant a flag. People say you got to plant a flag, and so I just decided to build my own and plant the flag. And this is full of, I've been asked so many times what the Fallible Man is about. All these lines of words that you can see, guys, and you can see this on my website if you're listening on the podcast, are basically just statements about what being the Fallible Man is. And anybody can be a Fallible Man. So that's...
I think I'm going to go to www.thefallibleman.com and buy one today.
And that is my voiceover guy right there. Guys, we're going to roll to today's sponsor, and we will be right back with more from Dave, Common Man OCR. I'm calling on all men right now to stand up and stand against this horrific crime. It is estimated that over 300,000 children are being sex trafficked in the United States alone every single day. I want you to get on your social media. I want you to follow savinginnocence.org or fightforme.net. Both of these charities are working to end child trafficking in the United States and abroad. You can donate at www.thefallibleman.com/shop and buy our End Human Trafficking merchandise, and all proceeds will be given indefinitely to savinginnocence.org. You can also go to www.savinginnocence.org/donate and donate directly to Saving Innocence. Men, it is time for us to fight and stop this horrible thing known as human trafficking. Welcome back, guys. We're here today with at Common Man OCR, David McCarter, longtime friend and colleague on the show. Dave is one of our biggest supporters, whether you guys see him in front of the camera very often or not. He has actually contributed to the show a great deal and been a major supporter for me, and I appreciate that.
No problem. It's better to have you do these podcasts than Common Man OCR because I wouldn't know what to talk about. I'd be like, here's another podcast, and we're done.
And today we're talking about the need to compete with yourself to grow individually. Now, in the first half of the show, we got into some of the pros and cons of men being competitive, some of the facts that we can get overly competitive, but there are also positive ups and downs to both sides, being competitive, not being competitive enough. The second half of the show, we're really going to dig into why we believe that being competitive with yourself is actually not only beneficial, but crucial for men to grow and improve themselves. So before we dig into that, Dave, I got to ask you, what have you purchased in the last year under $100 that's had the most significant impact on your life?
So you talking since January?
No, just the last 12 months.
Significant impact on my life. Physically, mentally, or we just all up?
All up, $100.
Oh, boy. Man. I don't know.
I'm looking for things that have benefited your life that other men may go, hey,
well,
that's a great idea.
So this is going to sound stupid, but I have had in my OCR career, if you want to call it that, my OCR endeavors, I have had problems with shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not worn the correct shoes because I have very wide feet. And this actually was over $100, but you know how like we'd go on a Spartan race or something and I couldn't walk the next day?
Yeah.
My feet were just slammed.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, and I did this after Dallas, I bought a pair of, they're about $174. So that's
it's a little over.
That's a little over, but it's the best thing I can think of. But they were Ultra, ALTRA, Olympus 4 shoes, and they're zero drop, but they have a padding on them about that thick. And they have become the best race shoes I've ever owned. And they're wider, so when I put a foot in one of those uneven ground spots, I don't like break my ankle.
Well, see, we can roll that back to more applicable to everybody because not all of you guys do OCRs,
well, sure.
And we recognize that, and not everybody needs to do them if that's not your thing. But quality footwear is actually one of the most underrated things. I know so many men.
Right shoes.
I know so many men who have no idea how important their feet are. They wear the cheapest crap they can buy at Walmart or Payless, and always like their backs hurt and their feet hurt and they're always in a bad mood. You have no idea how important your footwear is.
Take a minute, go to a place that sells footwear, like an outdoor shop, like maybe your REIs, maybe some of your local stores like Roadrunner Footwear, that kind of thing. Here in Wenatchee, we've got Performance Footwear. And folks that can do like an analysis of your feet, they'll do it for free. And you just do a walk and they look at your feet and they recommend a shoe to you. If that doesn't suit your fancy, you can also sit on one of those machines at like Walmart, the Dr. Scholl's machines that they look at the pressure parts of your foot and they say, here, you need this orthotic. Right. And, get the right.
A lot of shoes.
Get the right footwear, even if it's a little more money.
I'm cheap. You know that. I'm stupidly cheap on.
Well, so am I, but not as cheap.
But
I'm becoming cheaper because I know you. That's not a bad thing, believe me.
But one thing I don't skimp on tires on my cars and my motorcycles.
This is true. Especially your motorcycle.
Yeah, especially my motorcycle. I don't skip on tires.
In fact, you're the one that told me which tires to buy last time I bought some.
And I don't skip on my footwear, guys. I've spent my whole life working on my feet. The military impressed on me the value of quality footwear.
Yeah, but you were wearing Bates combat boots. I mean,
no, I wasn't.
Really?
No.
Oh wow.
Good Lord, no. That was one of the first things I ever did.
You were lucky.
No, I wasn't lucky. That was a paycheck.
Oh well, that.
But that was one of the. I in the training I was in. One of my sergeants looked at the shoes I was wearing one day because I was complaining because my feet hurt. He's like, "Are those the things they gave you in basic training?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You got paid today.
Go buy
when you fall out for PT Monday morning. If that's on your feet, you will do push-ups till I die."
Oh, jeez. That was a good leader right there.
Oh yeah. He's like, those will kill you.
Oh yeah.
We spend way too much time on our feet. We ran a lot and did a lot of PT and a lot of. He said, if if you're wearing those Monday at PT, you'll do push-ups till I die.
Bates were just garbage shoes. But
oh my gosh. We had a, what is it? Basics.
Okay.
I think were the brand the military was buying at the time. Yeah. But I mean, I had never bought like nice sneakers before. And my life would have been actually radically different if I had bought them before that point. Yeah. The damage was already done to my leg at that point. Oh, it cost me my career. Yeah. But I had never known nice tennis shoes because we didn't have money growing up. You know, I was the poor kid. I had poor kid shoes, which ironically is now like $80 shoes. I love that Con All-Stars came back around and became like popular and expensive.
Yeah. Now they used to be cheap. What the heck?
They were what all us poor kids wore growing up because they were like $10 a pair.
Yeah. And now you got guys spending
hundreds
of dollars on a pair of leather All-Stars. Yeah. I can't even put my foot in it anymore.
But I went and bought my first really nice pair of, I think they were either Adidas or Nike at the time. I think they were Adidas. Mm-hmm. And oh my goodness, it was, I've never gone cheap on shoes since then. I've always bought high quality. I will buy $10 jeans.
$100 shoes.
But yeah, I don't think I bought a pair of shoes that cost me under $120.
That's what happened to me with the Ultras when I wore, I think I did one race in Dallas where I was wearing a pair of like New Balance, and I love New Balance too, don't get me wrong, but like these New Balance, like, outdoor shoes. And by the time I got done with the race, my feet were just like this and I could barely walk. And it was only I think the first one I did was a sprint out there. And, then I got an Ultra and my feet, my toes started to do this. I'm like, wow, is this what a real shoe supposed to feel like? Okay. How much are these? Okay, here, take my money.
Yeah, guys. Hey, if you take nothing else away from this podcast today, take this away. Men, we live on our feet, and the right pair of shoes is the difference between you having a piss poor day and you having an amazing day. Oh, yeah. I kid you not. It will change your whole outlook. Invest in shoes. They are worthwhile. We'll get back with the show. But I always try and ask because all of us find those different things that are really valuable. And to me, it's just a good idea to be able to share that. It's like, hey, you may not have thought of this, but this is a reasonably priced object that really impacted my life.
And we're not talking things like, I bought a new iPad or I bought a,
That's why I put a price range on it. Yeah, exactly. all the good shoes are going to cost you more than $100.
Well, probably.
So do you believe, I mean, it's the title of this, do you believe that men actually need competition?
Yes.
Why?
Well, if we're not competing with something, or either others or ourselves, we have no ability or no motivation to grow. Through adversity comes growth. Through struggle comes growth. Now, if it's struggle with yourself or a struggle with somebody else, that is still struggle. Now, we have a negative connotation with the word struggle, so let me just put that out there. But we need that competition to force us to be able to get out of our comfort zones, and as Joe DeSena would say, get off the couch and get out there and be better. I had a guy recently on my Instagram page, or what are we supposed to call it now? My Instagram feed, reach out to me and he's like, hey, I'm this health coach from the UK. I see you're a Spartan racer or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And he started asking me just a boatload of questions. And he asked me what my goal for the 2022 season was. And I said, be better than I was last season. And he's like, well, why is it important for you to be better? Because through adversity, through struggle comes growth. And if I don't have any struggle, if I don't have anything to get better at, I'm not going to grow. And if you don't grow, you die, whether it's physically or mentally. That answer your question?
Yeah.
Excellent.
In fact, I think I have a whole shirt on my website that talks about, only dead things don't grow.
You do, actually. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I still haven't bought it yet because...
Because you're cheap.
That's true. Hey, there is some Common Man OCR gear on the website at www.thefallibleman.com//shop. Exactly. What he said. I'm going to make shameless plugs all night long just for the gear.
And that's fine. And, that's why I sell you gear because, we're partnered up on this.
Sure, why not?
So,
I appreciate it, believe me.
No, I think so. If we want to take an anthropological look at this, right?
That's a big word.
Right, it is.
I'm proud of you.
I'm using my 50-cent word tonight. If we want to take an anthropological look at this, okay? Now, I'm a Christian. I made that very clear on the show. I don't I think God created the world. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. That's your business. No judgments on you, man. You do you. It's cool. But
let's talk later.
let's talk reality, okay? I don't think that God went, snapped his finger, and this was us now, okay? The Bible doesn't say, right? And there is archaeological evidence saying that men evolved. I do believe in evolution, because you can't deny the fact that microevolution exists.
Not
right.
the way that
right. So I think men have adapted, because you can even see that in more recent anthropology.
Sure.
Anthropology. Now I can't say it. Evidence that in different parts of the world, people's skeletal systems and systems are slightly different to adapt to weather, climate, or even geographical issues. Right. So I do believe in microevolution,
sure.
Right?
The macroevolution, I have a hard time.
Right. I have a big problem with that, but I mean, their termites coexist with a parasite that lives in their stomach that dissolves the wood. That's the only reason termites can eat wood. Right. Without one, the parasite can't live outside of the body of the termite, right. And the termite can't eat wood without it. So, right. It evolved into the symbiotic relationship. How that happened, I don't know. I don't speculate. But if you look at the fact that mankind has evolved, right? Even just going back in history, you don't even have to go that far. You can go back to the Old West, right? Men had to hunt on a regular basis.
This is true. Men
who were more physically developed had more say over who their mates were going to be. Who they would have romantic relationships with, however you want to say that.
That's changed? No, because I'm still the single guy.
It has. You will find a lot of chicks these days are...
Did you say chicks?
Yeah, chicks. That see, I'm letting my barbarian out.
And after this, we're going to eat raw meat.
I might. But, yes, I'm letting my misogynist out. Chicks. Sorry. I have 2 daughters. I call them chicks. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
It's all good.
I'm sure I'm a misogynist at heart.
I'm just messing with
according to all the women out there.
Yeah, you know.
But, right, you look, women are not actually modern women are not as drawn to really well physically developed men, because they tend to see them as narcissistic and shallow and have their time consumed with other things other than women. And women want all your attention. That I can say after being married for 20 plus years and having 2 daughters. Women want all of your attention. So men who spend a lot of time at the gym, actually, women are intimidated by that. Also, it makes women go, well, if he keeps himself looking that way, then I'm expected to look as good, if not better. And I don't want to put that kind of effort into it. So it's actually a lot of really messed up guys who spend a lot of time in the gym don't. Whereas if you go back even 100 years, there's a massive difference on the romantic side of things. But as we've evolved, right, our roles have changed drastically. Sure. I listened to Brett Jones from the Warrior Man podcast give a really good explanation on this. He said post-World War II, right, men had been at war and in conflict for years by the end of World War II. And during that time, women had to go to work in factories and take on traditionally masculine roles at home, like fixing the house, taking care of the lawn, keeping up things that broke, right? Taking care of their own vehicles. Women had to do that. And all of a sudden, men came home wanting an end to conflict after years of conflict. And women didn't push back because they were just used, hey, I've gotten into a routine. I developed this. And men went, okay. And there is this massive change actually at that generation of the role of men in the home. Whereas prior to that, World War II, men were still seen as the most common providers and the masculine leaders in the home. And men still had to be more, quote unquote, what people would call masculine, right? And that's rolled back as we've taken technological advances, sure, right, that take care of a lot of those things. We don't have to go hunt anymore. People hunt for sport. They don't hunt to live.
Well, it depends on where you live, but yeah.
Well, even where you live anymore, there are very few places.
There's some places in the north of Alaska that you still have to hunt.
there are very few places in the civilized world where you can't just go to the supermarket.
True.
We don't have that dependency. A lot of people still do to supplement it or because of income or whatever, but it's not as necessary. And so if you look at that, right, we've lost all the things that were really challenging us physically and mentally and competitively.
Yeah, that's right.
And as that's declined, men still have this ultra competitive nature that pushes us to be better, right? Our competitive nature pushes us to grow, pushes us to be stronger, better, smarter, faster. And
would that be against somebody else or against ourselves?
Right. And used to, that was kind of pushed by life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was good that we were competitive because life forced us to be that way anyways. Now, as life has gotten quote unquote easier in the modern centuries, we don't have that as much, but men still have that inherent need.
True.
And without feeding that drive, that's why I started doing OCRs.
Same here.
I started doing OCRs.
I did it because you thought it was a good idea for a rally that we were doing with teens, and then I got into it and went, yeah.
I got into it because like I had transitioned from working construction to IT, mm-hmm. and sitting at a cubicle and at a computer all day was killing me. Like just spiritually, like it was just crushing me. I felt like I was suffocating. I needed to get out and do something because I'd always been a very physical person. And so that gave me an outlet to start doing that. Not just the gym, but that gave me an outlet to compete against myself. I don't have the, after injuring my leg, I can't run long distances for long periods of time. And I'm not in that kind of shape, even if I could. But so I was never going to be competitive on the OCR field that way, but I could compete against me.
And that's the same way I look at it.
And that pushed me to continue to improve myself outside of the gym, outside of work. It pushed me to strive to be better, more functional. It made me strive to be more flexible and more athletic. And maintain that ability.
So one of the things that I struggled with in the OCR circuit was something you'd helped me with and you taught me how to do was the Atlas stone carry. And for those of you who've never seen an Atlas stone, it's in the Spartan community. It's a 100-pound spherical stone.
It's little.
Yeah, I know, but shut up. So if you're running the Stadium Series Spartan races, it's actually a 100-pound sandbag, which Knuckles here has like 6 of them or some junk. Anyway, so I've always struggled with it because I could never, bend down and pick it up and, whatever. So Brent's like, okay, go ahead and roll it up, get down on one knee, roll it up on this knee, flip it over here, adjust your grip, put it in front of you and stand up. Cool. So that's the way I started doing it. Now, fast forward through 2020, with a bunch of virtual races I did, which great idea. Spartan, Tough Mudder, Bone Frog, all you guys, awesome idea to keep us engaged. And you're welcome to have my money too. But anyway, so get toward to 2021 and my first Spartan race of the year. And I forgot where I was at actually. No, it was actually the Beast. It was the Beast I had to do on with a couple of youth group kids. Seattle Beast, and I walk over to that thing and I deadlift it and I pick it up and I put it on my shoulder and I'm like, and I do the walk with it. And the first thing I thought is, Brett would be so proud of me. But it was that internal competition of I'm going to deadlift that thing. I'm going to pick that thing up. I'm going to throw it on my shoulder and I'm going to do the walk and I'm going to put it back down. Problem was when I put it down, I didn't put it in the hole it creates. And it rolled away. So the other youth group kid went and got it, put it back. But it was that struggle of I'm going to get better at that. I'm going to target that obstacle now. I'm going to get better at that obstacle. And once I've got that one conquered, I'm going to go conquer another one that I haven't been able to do. My mission for 2022 is walls. I want over walls.
give me the mats. We'll build one.
I know. I got to get you materials. I don't know where you're going to build it, though. Anyway.
I'll find a place.
I know. You will.
My yard looks like a war zone and a training ground.
As long as things don't blow up, we're fine. Don't want to get those calls. But
and I had showed you how to pick up an Atlas stone that way, and you had told me, it's like, I can't do that. So we came up with the other solution. But yeah, I would have liked to be at that race with you.
Well, you know what? We'll see if we can go on a Spartan sometime this year, and you can see me do it, because I just did it twice in Phoenix, and I'm like, Brett would be so proud.
So what do we mean when we say compete with yourself?
Do better than you did last time. So, for example, I'm going back to the Spartan thing. Sorry, I'm plugging Spartan hard here. Now Spartan.com. Anyway,
He's wearing Spartan gear.
I am. They got a lot of my money. Anyway, I do have Tough Mudder gear now too. But it was funny because these are the fastest sprints and supers I've ever ran.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem was there was no elevation gain. There was like 100-foot total of the entire race. Like, well, that's helpful. But it was great because I looked at the time going, oh, no, that can't be right. It's like, oh, so happy. Wait, what was the question? But the whole idea, to compete against yourself is just to have in your mind that I'm going to do better than I did last time. I'm going to try to do, there's a lot of obstacles I still can't do. I suck at the rope climb. I'm the kid that in the 6th grade PE class who would sit in the corner crying because he couldn't get up the rope. I'm still that kid for now.
We'll get there.
But yeah, I know how. I actually taught a guy at the Spartan Stadium Series in San Francisco how to climb the rope and do the J-hook. He did it his first time.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at me and goes, aren't you going to do it? I'm like, no. I can't get up there yet. I walked away and he's got this confused look on his face like, but you just taught me how to do it.
I know in theory how it works.
But in practice, it sucks. So walls this season, rope next season, and then I can actually do the tire flip now. But then Yokohama pulled out a Spartan, so no more tire flip for a while.
Well, you come over here and flip mine.
You're 900-pound tires over there.
No, I got like 4 different sizes.
Yeah, I know, whatever.
I have them all the way down to my 7-year-old. Come on.
Oh, well, there's that. If she's flipping a 900-pound tire, I quit life.
No.
I just quit.
No, that's Abby. No,
not the
7-year-old.
I officially quit. Anyway.
I took her to a Rugged Maniac with me.
Yeah.
It wasn't Maniac.
Terrain race.
It was terrain race.
Yeah.
And they have a tire flip there. And they have a men's and a women's tire flip.
Yeah.
And, she was just old enough that she could go through with me.
Yeah.
And we got over to the tire flip. And the guy's like, oh, I reached down to like flip mine. And for me, it was like a toy because what you guys can't see. So we're in my backyard. Over to the side, I have 4 different tires. If you're watching this on the video, and you can go back through my stuff. I actually have a family tire flip video where all 4 of us flip tires together. Cause I have one for my little one for my older daughter, one for my wife, and one for me.
A family that flips together stays together.
Yeah, it was a Mother's Day event. But so I have a range of weights of tires, and mine's massive compared to the other ones. And so this guy's like, well, blah, blah, blah. Like, I flipped the tire they have because therefore the terrain race was very entry level friendly. So for me, it was
200-pound tire.
It was a toy,
100-pound tire. What?
But my daughter, who was 8 at the time, walked over and flipped the women's like it was nothing.
I wish I would have been there to see that.
And
that was awesome.
He's like the volunteer was like, wait. Did she just, I was like, yeah, that's smaller than when she got at home.
Oh, my word, that's funny.
He's like, can she do that again? Can I record that for terrain race? I was like,
sure, why not?
Abby, flip it again. She's like, okay, Dad. Walked over. He's like, wait, let him get his camera out. She looked confused, and I was like, okay, go ahead, baby. And she flipped it with no problem. Then she came over and flipped one of the guys' tires.
Oh, that'll work.
Just for good measure. But there's a lot of technique involved in tire flip, guys.
Yeah, there is.
A lot more technique than strength, honestly.
Yes. Because if you don't do it right, you're going to hurt a lot.
But yeah, you're going year by year or race by race going, okay, this is the obstacle, this is a problem. So this is what I'm working on this year, right? That is competing with yourself. I did better this time. I went faster this time. But it doesn't stop there, right? How about competing with yourself mentally? How about competing with yourself as a person? This year I read 10 books. So next year I'm going to read 12 books. Right?
I think it's a growth opportunity.
And we don't think about reading books as a competition, but get competitive with yourself. Every year I try and read more books than I read the year before. I actually have a running list on my phone of the last 2 years, what books I read in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And every time I read a new title, whether it's for the show or for business or whatever, I write down that book.
Well, I need to get on it then. I haven't read that many books in the last couple
So
of years.
I can see precisely what books I've read, what year I read them, and moreover, how many I read, right? Because I'm trying to read more because it's a way that's, for me, it's a good way to learn.
Does that include your audiobooks?
That does include my audiobooks.
Excellent.
That's one of the things I love about audiobooks.
I don't feel so bad now.
No, I absolutely love audiobooks because having audiobooks actually lets me read multiple books at once.
Yes.
Because I have the audiobook I'm listening to when I go for walks or when I'm in the car. And then I have the 2 or 3 actual like books
right.
that I'm reading at a time.
I actually did that with, I was reading the 10 Rules of Resilience for Families by Joe DeSena and Dr. Laura Pence. I bought it when I went down to Phoenix.
Did you read my ebook on building resilience?
Yes. I read the, so I started listening to the audiobook.
Links in the description. It's free.
Excellent. And I listened to the audiobook on the way down there. On the way back, I'm like, I don't want to buy another book. Just, I'll listen to it again. So I read the thing twice, and it was pretty good.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with. I love audiobooks. I wish I had found audiobooks sooner. Honestly. Oh, yeah. I didn't discover Audible. Like I had heard of it, but I never tried it or anything or an audiobook until 2020. Yeah. It's one of the things that came out of 2020 for me. And
they are really popular in 2020.
I only wish that I had embraced the idea of audiobooks sooner, just because I could have read that many more books. I absolutely love audiobooks.
It gets a little tough when you're like trying to learn like a skill sometimes, or a.
There are some books can be done in audiobook form really well, and some that some of you really need the book.
Learning C# programming by audiobook.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
It's not going to function.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? It's a competition with myself. Yeah. I have a running list on my phone. I know precisely how many books I read last year and the year before, and I'm tracking how many books I read this year because I look at that number. I'm like, I want to read more books. Sure. I want to read more because it challenges my brain to grow. Competing with myself, there isn't any way that, right? You and I both cook, and I think all men should cook. Yes. I mean, let me just put that out there. All men should be able to cook. Yes. You can't take care of yourself and cook yourself healthy meals. I have videos for that. But
he's halfway decent cook too. Okay, he's a really good cook.
There are those who say I can cook. But
have you had your spaghetti sauce recently? I mean,
no, because I haven't made it recently.
You need to, because dude, I mean,
I can't afford to make my spaghetti sauce.
I will forward you the cash, okay? That's because you can make it for me.
I was going to say that's well over $100 to make that sauce.
Okay, no. Anyway, moving on. What?
Now, granted, I make enough sauce to feed like 20 people.
So you're telling me we'll bottle it, we'll sell it at my gym.
I jar it.
Yeah, we'll bottle it, sell it at my gym. Be great. Anyway, move on.
But no, even when it comes to cooking, right? When I cook, I'm always trying to improve my cooking.
Well, sure.
And it's not like an active, like I don't think of, man, I hope I fry this egg better. Right? But honestly, when I'm like cooking, I'm grading myself on how well I fry an egg. I've been frying eggs since I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Southern household. We fried everything. So
you fried Cheerios if you get away with it. You did, didn't you?
I don't like Cheerios.
Okay, well that works.
Okay, apple cinnamon Cheerios.
Oh, Lord. Fried apple cinnamon Cheerios.
That would be good.
Oh,
salad. We're gonna have to eat after this.
There'll be a recipe in the description. All right, sorry.
But like, I actually like when I'm cooking when I'm frying eggs for my food or for my daughters.
Sure.
I'm looking and I'm critiquing my own work as I go. Right. Man, I had the grease too hot on this one. Yeah. Oh, I flipped that too late. It's cooked too. There is nothing wrong, and I think it pushes you to be better. It is that competitive nature that gives you that edge, that encourages you to make more of your life. Right? With every investment I make, I'm trying to learn something from every investment I make. I didn't have anybody teach me about finances and investing. It's something I've had to learn on my own. And so I'm still continuing to read books on investing and finances to grow my knowledge there. I'm also like very particular with my investments. And did I make a smart investment? Did I research this one well enough? Did I do more due diligence on this than I did on my last one? Right.
I used less money on this one than I did the last
one. Right. Yeah. So I think we need competition, because without it, I think we become very complacent.
I'm stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant's a good word. I think competition is what keeps men from becoming stagnant.
So let's put this into a really, because as men we like things like concise, quick and dirty. Something we can live by. Through competition comes growth. Without growth, you die. I mean, that's, if you're to put all this whole thing into one sentence or to one idea. Through competition, that's the struggle part, comes growth. Without growth, you die. Or you could also not put the negative spin on that and go, through growth, you live. That works too. I see a t-shirt idea coming. You decided, I'll just go with the slogans.
And on that great note, guys, because I don't think I could end it better than that. Dave, thanks for joining us. Guys, at Common Man OCR, he's a man on a mission to just retake his health, and he'd love to have you join him on that mission. I'm Brent Dallin. I'm at the Fallible Man, pretty much where you want to be. Guys, as always, be better tomorrow because of what you do today. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
This has been the Fallible Man Podcast, your home for everything man, husband, and father. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a show. Head over to www.thefallibleman.com for more content and get your own Fallible Man gear.